Hey, welcome to the show. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance if my little dog Grizz gets out of control. He's pretty overstimulated right now. Um, I've got the beer cooler out with ice in it. He loves ice, and we got this rescue dog here that I found in the road the other day that pretty much was an hour or two before he was on death's door. And Grizz is so excited to see him, but I can't let him officially meet yet until I take him to the vet, and all the vets here are booked up for a while. So if he does get excited, it's just probably calls the dogs on the patio stirring around. So now that that's out of the way, like also he's just a little turd. He'll hear me talking and want to get into the camera view again. But so tonight's show is going to be about burn pits and black goo. And I know that's probably a strange ass title. How are people watching me when I'm not live anywhere? I don't understand. I don't understand how I'm live when I'm not live. Anyway, I'll have to figure it out eventually because I'm not supposed to be live right now. I hate being live for certain shows because it makes me kind of anxious a little bit, I guess. Anyway, so there's Grizz getting his mice right now. Black goo and burn pits. All right. I was deployed twice to the desert in Iraq. First was Ollie Base, and then that was 2005-ish. Didn't really notice anything about burn pits there. I'm not sure if they had one, if it was further away or whatever, but that never really got on my radar or anything. But 2008, I went back to Iraq, and that was in Balad Air Base. You'd always see this big plume of smoke flying through the air. And if you never asked questions, you never knew what it was. But then you started meeting people that worked there or they've been there, and they start telling these stories about how it's just this big ass pit where pretty much anything they find that we can't use gets thrown into this pit. And we're talking. Grizz unplugged my phone. We're talking airplane parts, ammunition, tank parts, which most of the stuff is like lead and metals and depleted uranium. All this stuff got thrown to the pit. Dead bodies, plastic, anything that trash, stuff we couldn't use, and JP8, which is jet fuel, would be poured on top of it, which is already a carcinogen. And then it would they'd light up an open pit. He's eating ice, by the way. And I worked night shift in Balad on the flight line. And you could, during the day, you could see smoke plume in the air. And it's kind of hazy in the desert anyway, so you really can't tell anything else, but whatever. But at night, on the flight line with the lights lit up and everything else being dark, you could just watch the smoke come down. Like it'll be above you in the air, then it get a little lower, then it's at eye level, then it's all over the place. And inhaling smoke in general isn't the best thing for you. Inhaling jet fuel, which is burning your depleted uranium and body parts, going through your respiratory system, is probably super not good for you. But let's go to who runs. Okay, let's stop it. Congress is like, there's people come back from the desert and been, they've gone to like, hey, I'll go to the VA or whatever, doctor. I've got this problem, I got this problem, I got this problem. And it was stuff that was not hereditary, not stuff that they didn't have before. And, they link it back there. The most people that have these problems came from one of these bases that had burn pits. There's been rare diseases that, affect a small percent of the population. But then you find 5 or 6 people that were together somewhere that all have the same thing. Some of the things I took notes. Some of the things that people are attributing to the burn pit, any kind of respiratory issue, anything to do with your heart or your stomach or your kidneys, like cancer, any kind of disease or whatever, skin cancer, skin lesions came up, high blood pressure, leukemia, other cancers. All this has been documented. There's a burn pit registry. Well, I think it's like 200,000 registers or whatever. I could be wrong on that one. And the small percentage of the population that has these rare diseases or these similar diseases, they all come out of the same areas. So it's easy to put 2 and 2 together. You were burning some nasty shit that was going through the air with all these people living there, and they all have respiratory problems. They all have this kind of problem, that problem. 2 and 2 together. Well, Congress and your elected officials, say your elected officials, they've gone through this data and they keep blocking it. Oh no, there's no evidence of inhaling JP8 or dead bodies or tank parts or airplane parts will cause cancer. No, there's no evidence of that. Of course, there's no evidence of that. Because the people in Washington run the companies that were in charge of burn pits, like KBR. KBR controlled pretty much everything civilian-wise in the desert when I was there. They did all the burn pits and like special programs and all stuff like that. Everything that you need, all those services and everything. Well, KBR was at one point owned by Halliburton. Halliburton made millions, if not billions, off of the war in Iraq. It's probably still making money off of it, which is just some bullshit on its own, because Halliburton was the chairman and CEO for Halliburton was Dick Cheney at the time, Vice President of the United States of America. He signed off on a war to go to Iraq. Well, he did. George Bush did, but Dick Cheney was the puppet master there. Sign off on a war and then provide all those instruments of war, all the services over there. Just get millions and billions of dollars contracts. And you think he's the only person in Washington that has no interest in KBR or Halliburton? No. That's why every time this gets brought up, as a government, are we going to allow military personnel that were exposed to this stuff to sue in class actions also? No. Because if you allow the military veterans to sue, it's money out of their pocket. Will you stop eating the cooler? Stop. Just stop. He's trying to eat the cooler for some damn reason. He always gets like this whenever I get on the show. Anyway, so if you're running these companies and you also make policies, you're not going to allow yourself to be sued. I'm trying to be serious, dog. Gris, stop. Gris, stop. Anyway, he controls house printing. Anyway, like I said, if you run the show, if you run the government and you make these rules about who can do what and what, you're not going to let yourself get sued because it's money out of your pocket. My personal experiences in the burn pits, I don't have anything yet, but I get a little paranoid every time I get a cough, because I've been to the VA and seen the older generation that can't breathe and on oxygen, because shit happened. It kind of scares me a little bit anytime I get sick or something, because I know inhaling carcinogens is not good for you. Now, that was my experience in the desert, at Balad. I personally experienced this bullshit. I've had people that have been to the burn pit and told me what was in there. I talked to an Army guy. He said he was there. I think I talked to him, it was like his first week there. He says first week outside the wire, he rolled his Humvee up down the road and had to pick up body parts and bring those body parts back to the burn pit. So, personal experience, I have a lot of personal experience with this kind of shit at Balad. Now, I don't have that many bad medical conditions. I do have I did have bad knees and all, like, but whatever. That's not. I don't think that's contributed to the burn pit. But it's not always immediate. These guys that were guys and girls, men and women that went to the Gulf War, came back with Gulf War syndrome. They didn't know what the hell it was. They were coming back. They had, all these chronic issues, neurological diseases, fatigue. They're having babies born with birth defects. And, they also had respiratory, stomach issues, arthritis, all sorts of stuff. But all this stuff got contributed back to sarin gas that wasn't used against the troops, but somehow also was used against troops from the Iraqi army. That for the longest time they told us that no chemical warfare was used against us. Deny. And then it came out, oh yeah, there was chemical weapons over there. And that explains why a lot of guys got really, like a lot of men and women got really messed up and had babies born without eyelids or extra fingers or cleft palates and stuff like that. They always had they were having birth defects. Some people came back sterile. Some people just came back sick and everything. And it took a long time for the government to actually admit that there were chemicals used. And by the time they admitted it, it was too late for some people. I have a mysterious illness now and I'm dead, but now that I'm dead, my benefits stop and nobody gets my money for it. Somebody should be paid for that. If you went to the desert and risked your life and you came back from a horrible fucking disease and you died, not only do you need to be compensated for the rest of your life, your family needs to be set up too. Because it was the veterans' choice to go to war, join the military. But when you join something like this, you're under the assumption that it's war, but the U.S. government is going to do whatever it can to protect you in that war. And then, we find out that's not true. They send you to places that have chemical weapons. They send you to the front line without armor, with shitty-ass weapons. And, they also send people. So let's go with this one, Agent Orange, also from the past, from the 60s and 70s, 61 and 71 or whatever. It was herbicide. It was used in Vietnam. It was basically a chemical attack by the Americans. It would kill a lot of foliage so that we could actually see people in there, and it would kill a lot of their food sources, so they would give up fighting. They exposed 4 million people to dioxin. So it's a chemical that kills. Just drop this shit that kills plant life. But it's okay. We won't test it anymore. We'll see what happens. Well, people come back from that kind of messed up. They had chronic diseases. If you want to look up more on Agent Orange, you can look up Operation Ranch Hand, which is kind of a shitty name for operation that destroys all the fucking plant life. Anyway, so 4 million people exposed. And once again, the government was, oh no, it doesn't do anything to anybody. It doesn't affect anybody. No. Then you start getting service members coming back. They have respiratory problems. They have high blood pressure, diabetes. Any kind of real weird ailment that they didn't have before. It pretty much got to contribute to this chemical. But what was the first thing the government did? Deny. And people suffered because of it. So flash forward again, burn pits aren't just the only danger when it comes to chemicals over there in Iraq. Well, Uzbekistan. Let's jump to Uzbekistan. All right, that's in the former Soviet Union. I had a buddy go there. He was there, I think, 2002, right before I went to Germany. Uzbekistan is one of the black goo bases, and that's a very strange name for a base. Sounds like some X-Files shit. Well, what black goo was, during the Cold War and everything, there was enriched uranium at the area on those bases or whatever, and the chemicals got absorbed into the ground, into the sediment, and caused a thing underneath the ground of black goo that would seep through the ground. Like when it rained, it was supposed to get real bad. I've seen stories where people walking around having just black tar like shit on their feet, on their shoes. Well, you send people over to a place that had enriched uranium, and then you also start noticing there's black goo on the ground. You should probably pull them out. I know we're fighting a war and everything, but you're sending people into a place that's dangerous. Don't make it more dangerous for them. Well, those people came back. Cancer, a lot of illnesses, the stomach illnesses, like kidney and skin issues, and all this other stuff. My buddy went there in 2002, and I know he's had a lot of autoimmune issues that he didn't have before. He's got a few issues. He takes dozens of pills a day just to keep going. He came down, I think it was last year. He finally got diagnosed anyway with lupus. Okay, lupus. Let's just go ahead and say he is an adult white male who was late 30s when this happened, and lupus attacks people there in their 14 anywhere from 15 to 45 age frame. Well, so he was actually in the age frame, so that's one thing. But the thing is, out of all the people that get lupus, 90% are women. And if you're a minority, you're 2 to 3 times more likely to get lupus and have a bad side effect. So that puts it really rare that a white male would get this disease. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. People do. White men do get the disease, but it's really it's a small number. And when you track stuff back to crazy diseases that people got that they don't have a history of their family, and they were healthy before they left, it comes back to this black goo base. Enriched uranium, that's radioactive bullshit that you're living in. So it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together there. When you're in a demographic that's extremely rare for you to get a disease, and you got a disease, and you can track it back to this bullshit base. There's also other factors. There was an anthrax shot that a certain series of, back in the day before you went to deployment, you had to get your anthrax shot. And there's a certain percentage of a certain serial number of it that they can track that back to having lots of diseases on, lots of crazy ass autoimmune disorders and everything. But does the government really acknowledge this? No. He's on anti-malaria meds, which right now is probably the best thing for him because he has autoimmune disorders, which makes him very susceptible to getting COVID-19 and it actually hurting him bad, possibly killing him. But he's already on the anti-malaria meds, so that's a good thing for him getting lupus because he's actually on this medication that shows promise against COVID. But in the long run, being on anti-malaria meds, not the best thing in the world. And supposedly anti-malaria meds were the best thing for him to fight off lupus. I'm not a doctor, I don't know those things, but whatever. So it just seems like you're giving somebody anti-malaria meds to fight off a disease that is rare in his demographic. And he's like, it just happens. And it doesn't just happen especially when you track it back to like either that anthrax shot or the black goo base, where there's lots of different cancers and everything like that come off of it. So, given these examples of modern day military dealing with, or modern day government dealing with, issues with the military, you can see that maybe one day they'll acknowledge burn pits and black goo as causing people to get crazy cancers and dying. But will it be like Agent Orange and Gulf War syndrome and be too late? Will we ever get it? Because, back then, the government wasn't that in depth with the companies they are creating these weapons, these chemicals. Nowadays, KBR, Halliburton, Dick Cheney, all in bed with Washington. They run the burn pits. They run the black goo bases. Why in the hell would they allow you to sue them? Why in the hell would they allow you to get money out of their pockets? So maybe one day we'll actually get answers. Maybe one day people will be taken care of. And yeah, I know we do get disability from the VA. A lot of people don't get enough money to like pay their bills. A lot of people get denied for random bullshit. We see you have this cancer, but you weren't diagnosed till you got out. Or, oh man, you didn't go to the doctor enough. Or, we don't think it was caused by that. Even though they can go back to your records, see where you're at, and see all the other people that have stuff. Like, and I use those two examples because it took years and years. So it's going to take years and years before they acknowledge black goo and burn pits. Maybe they may never do it. How many people are going to die because of it? All right, and let's tie this into. They don't just do this to the military. 9/11, 19 years ago. The first responders ran into those buildings to try to save lives. They put their lives on hold. Put their lives at risk. A lot of them didn't come home. The ones that did, a lot of them didn't come back right. They came back with diseases. They came back with respiratory diseases, cancer. That they say 32,000 out of 70,000 first responders were exposed. They've actually come out and said, "Hey, we have disease because of this." Because these buildings are full of asbestos. Even if they weren't full of asbestos, there was particles of dust that got into even if they had a mask on or whatever, you can still get through that shit. Or just being around before the buildings fell, and then you get called. Well, in between the buildings falling, or buildings actually getting hit, and you actually get into the scene, maybe you don't always have your mask on when you're like running from your house or from the station. So a lot of this shit got into their lungs. They said like they found like little rock crystals or chunks of whatever in their lungs. And it's basically like dust particles that got in their lungs and contaminated them. Well, a lot of buildings have had asbestos in them, which asbestos causes cancer. Well, these men and women come back, respiratory issues, cancer. So, if there's 70,000 first responders, 32,000 of them came back and said, "Hey, we got something wrong with us." That's just the ones that reported it. they've had over 705 deaths from respiratory issues. That's just the deaths, not the people that got reported. 9,000 cancer issues, or 9,000 cancers reported. 600 cancer deaths since 9/11. Okay, now that's just the people that were able to go to a doctor and say, "Hey, something's wrong with me. What is it?" And they got diagnosed, and it got tracked back to 9/11. That's not including the people that never went to the doctor. That's not including people that died before they go to the doctor. That's not the people that they couldn't get it traced back to 9/11. We know the first responders put their lives in their hands there. They saved people. They did what they could. And they came back with diseases. And how do we pray them? I know that there was money sent to them, but not a lot. You know, these people should be taken care of for life. You went in to save people's lives. You came out with cancer. Your life has changed. The government doesn't care. You know, Congress blocked a lot of shit from them too, a lot of aid from them too. I know they've had a little bit of money before. Well, I know Trump just recently in 2019 gave like $10 billion to the 9/11 fund, which is amazing. But that's 19 years later, or 18 years later. Why couldn't we take care of people before then? If you ran into those buildings trying to save lives, your health care should have been taken care of. You got people in Congress who have free health care, making $200,000 a year, plus they're getting paid by private companies because they're bought the fuck off, making millions a year. You know, you've got people in Congress making $250,000 a year, or in the House or whatever, and they're worth $250 million somehow. Getting free health care, getting housing, all sorts of stuff, but you couldn't do shit for somebody that ran into fucking a building that's collapsing, trying to save lives and got cancer. And I know now, hopefully, with a $10 million fund there, people can get help. But it's too late for a lot of people. Just like PTSD it's a big thing too. I know I'm not on time a lot of different stuff together. I had notes today, and I was going to tie them together differently, but whatever. Even veteran suicide is something that we need to take care of too. 22 vets a day die from suicide. 6,000 deaths a year because a veteran takes his or her own life. Veterans are 1.5 times more likely to commit suicide than a civilian. And a lot of it's due to PTSD. You know, a lot of veterans have seen some just fucked up shit over there, and it messes with you. You know, being on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because shit can pop off at any time over there, will mess with you. You know, living your life over there, just living over there, even if nothing ever happens, still fucks with you. Coming back to the States isn't exactly easy either. Like, or coming back to your base and home duty station isn't exactly easy because it's a different world. I say some people go over there and nothing ever happens, but you're still on guard 24/7. You're still serving that 24/7, and some people just don't come back right. And then there's a stigma in the military. Well, if you have to go see mental health, something's wrong with you. We can't have you around here anymore. It's not like that. It's not wrong to seek help. You know, even if you didn't see any action over there, you know, the world is different when you come back. You know, when I came back from a desert, you know, everything's bright and shit, shining over there. And then you come back to Germany, everything's dark and rainy and shit. And like, it's a total different mind fuck right there. That shit there alone will put you in a little bit of depression. But in the desert, or wherever you're deployed at, everything's controlled over there. You're on your tiny little island. Everything's controlled. And if you're in charge of somebody, you are in charge of that person. You're kind of in charge of their life a little bit. And then when you get back to the world, it's not like that anymore. Especially if you go back to civilian world. Civilian world, it's hard to adapt. I think some of the issues of PTSD is adapting to civilian world again. When you're in the military, you have a duty, you have a family, you have a duty to protect your family. And if you're in charge of some people, their lives are in your hands. And then you come back to the civilian world, and you're not always a family when you work with them. If the guy you work with wants to go off on the weekends and fuck up and ruin his fucking life, there's not much you can do to stop that. That kind of fucks with you a little bit too. But I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of shit. I know don't always blame the government for everything, because there are programs out there to help veterans. There's college, there's PTSD counseling, there's all kinds of different stuff that they, a lot of these, there are homeless vets that are homeless because of situations like this. They have mental problems. Their life got fucked up. There's also ones that's just them. That was their choice. But there needs to be programs in place. It needs to be more prevalent to help out. There needs to be something that helps to address why some people can get help but don't seek it. There needs to be programs in place that say you can seek help and not be ostracized. Make it easier for people. It's hard to get appointments with the VA sometimes. Like, this is probably gonna sound like a Trump ad right now, but Trump really revolutionized the VA. I remember whenever he used to call in for an appointment, it'd be, yeah, we can get you an appointment in. See you in 6 months. Now, I can usually get an appointment within like a week or so. I know sometimes I get pissed off at the VA because things like right now, I've been needing knee surgery for the past 5 months and haven't got it yet because COVID and all. But there needs to be programs in place. We need to do better for the vets. If it's PTSD, we need to have better access to counseling. We need to have a better program to reach people. If it's black goo bases or burn pits or Agent Orange or Gulf War syndrome, just shut the fuck up and pull money out of your pocket. It's you making $200,000 a year, getting free health care and housing and all that shit, and somebody made $30,000 a year, risk his life, his or her life, and now they got a disease, you're gonna throw them away. Our priorities are fucked. I know there's a few celebrities out there that are trying to help out and everything. Gary Sinise is the best thing for veterans, and Jon Stewart, he's done the whole getting help for 9/11 first responders. There are some vets out there, or there are some celebrities out there that I can't really hate, but we treat them better than we treat military members also. If there's any evidence of how black goo bases or burn pits cause such things, let's fucking fix it. Let's not make people get in those situations again. And the ones that were there, help them. Give them the health care they need. Help them do something. A lot of these people, they're fucked up where they can't go to work anymore. Help them. The guys come back guys and girls come back from the desert or mountains or Afghanistan or whatever. Fucked up with PTSD. Help them. Make counseling for PTSD for veterans more mainstream. When they come back from deployment, don't ostracize them. Don't make them outcasts. Help them. It's a real fucking thing. Whether you think you're a badass or not and you think PTSD is fake or whatever, it's a real fucking thing. Help them. The veterans need help. I know a lot of people, oh, they're heroes. Well, no, they weren't heroes. What? I don't give a fuck what you think. People that sign on the dotted line to protect this country, they sign on the dotted line thinking that the government would help them, would protect them, wouldn't send them into a fucking no-win situation like that. Yes, war sucks. People are going to die. People are going to get hurt. But you wouldn't expect the government to send you into a base that's going to cause you cancer and not tell you, or even not tell you. They shouldn't put you there in that situation. Chris, stop. Yes, let's fight the war. People are going to get shot. People are going to get killed. Don't put them in a base that's got cancer coming out of the fucking ground. That's got cancer in the fucking air. Do better. Fucking put your paychecks aside for a little bit. Once you fucking made $250 million being a civil servant in the government, pull your head out your ass and protect the people that protected you. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it, It's a shitty situation to be put in. I know we all sign our name on the dotted line. Yeah, I agree. But like I say, that's the fight of war to protect the country, not to be sent in a shitty situation to where you're going to fucking regret it years later. Bust your ass to save this country, but this country's going to fucking throw you away when you get back. Something needs to be done. I know my podcast isn't going to reach that many people, but hopefully it reaches some people and they learn about the burn pits, about the black goo bases, about the bullshit, just being sent to a situation where you're fucked either way you go out of it. I said, hopefully it reaches somebody and the awareness goes up here. And hopefully one day these will get acknowledged and people will get help. Thanks for watching.